DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective. Your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
What is happening, draft heads? Welcome back to the Key Pass Collective. My name is Joe Williams. I'll be your host here for this particular episode. The Key Pass Collective, of course, the audio companion for the Draft Society website. If you are new to the draft game or even a veteran manager, go ahead and visit the Draft Society. We've got you covered for rankings, stats, articles, all the stuff that you need to make sure that you can start to or continue dominating this draft game, making your mates look like absolute fools for thinking that they could even compete with you. Also, if you want to shame them even further, you can go ahead and, if you're willing, part with just a couple bucks a month. And for that, you're going to be in the inner circle. That will get you player projections, rest of season rankings, weekly from Robbie, fixture difficulty tracker for every single position on the pitch. There we are. You're going to get a set piece taker tracker. You're going to get personalized confidential trade advice if you'd like that. So your mates will not see anything that you ask us in terms of your trade conundrums. And then ghost point trackers. And there's also just like a lot more. So check it out. You can go over to the draftsociety.com, head up to the top of the navigation bar or on the side if you're on your phone, and check out the inner circle. We would really appreciate it. And you are supporting an independent fantasy website. All right, let's get into it. We're going to welcome in a couple of amazing lads. One of them, you're quite used to hearing his dulcet tones. That is one, of course, Totti. Totti, our Hungarian friend. How are you today? I'm
elated.
You sound it.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate that our well-traveled friend, regular of the pod, is not on here because I would have been pushing really hard to get that bet going, which will pit us against each other, going Jesus against Firmino goals at the end of the season. But
rest of season,
yeah, we'll see if he takes the bait. But yeah,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, 2 goals and an assist for King Bobby, the teeth himself.
Yeah.
Knowledge man.
Most people would, I gotta say, most people are going to think that you're probably crazy. For taking that bet.
I mean, the man's on fire.
Yeah. I agree. I completely agree. I don't know that I'd take him over Jesus though, but I'm sure Ryan is snapping your arm off at that offer.
We'll see.
And there's some sort of shameful loss, right? Like there's some sort of shameful I keep on calling it a prize.
A forfeit.
Yeah. It's a punishment essentially.
Well, it's not shameful. I had posted on Twitter that if I win and Bobby in fact gets more EPL league goals than Jesus does at the end of the season, he gets to, and I would like to reiterate, he gets to, but also has to, draft Bobby in the second round of a league where it matters.
And our other co-host / analyst for this evening is, welcome back, Gavin. How are you, friend?
I'm doing well. Good to be back and chat with you guys.
Nice, absolutely. Thanks for setting aside some time to join us in Ryan's stead. And of course, you're always welcome. But nice to have you back on. What you been up to?
We're actually preparing for so at my job, I work in public media, but I do podcasting, and we are kind of co-sponsoring a big podcast festival here in my hometown.
Awesome.
So have been preparing for that, getting ready. It starts Friday and goes Friday and Saturday. So trying to get kind of final preparations done, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Wow, that's fantastic. That sounds really cool, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Nice. Love it. All right. Well, listeners, we're going to do Wolves Chat version 2. Maybe we'll make this Wolves Corner and just do this every week. I hope we don't have to. But regardless, it's worth updating you. Lopetegui was offered the job, or not officially, but
What's happening?
Basically, and has actually declined it. So the health of his father apparently is also declining, which is unfortunate. And and he turned down the job. He wanted to spend some time with family, which is totally understandable. So I guess my question, and there's names swirling about for managerial positions, and it's changing by the hour pretty much at this point. Most of them are Portuguese. Yeah.
Is Nuno back in the running?
Nuno, actually, I saw an article that did mention that. Yeah. So there's a lot going on here. I don't know. What does that do for your valuation of Wolves players?
Sure. In 5 minutes.
Are you
seconds.
Still trying to scoop them up and hope for a bounce, or it doesn't seem like that's existing at this point?
I think for me, the hope is that this is still the best time to pick them up ahead of the game against Nottingham Forest. They're a good streamer candidate, if nothing else, this week.
Right.
And then hopefully over the course of the next week, we can find out a little bit more who the incoming manager is. I don't know if that'll happen with it being kind of a short turnaround. I think we have midweek games next week. But yeah, I guess I'm okay to pick up a couple of assets this week.
I can hear you.
I've
can
actually
you hear
done
me?
that. I picked up
Joe?
Kilman in one of my leagues. I think any of the kind of defenders that start are worth a start this week.
Yeah.
Probably the same thing at the other end of the pitch. If there are any of those attacking players, Adama or Gedesh or Podence, if any of them are available, probably worth a grab and, just kind of pick up and hope, but don't be afraid to drop them if their form continues, I guess is kind of where I'm at.
What about Costa?
I had Costa in my waiver article this week.
Okay.
I think it's one of those, if you're not starting him against Nottingham Forest, then you shouldn't have him on your roster kind of situation.
Which is exactly why I dropped him.
I can see if you have at least 2 forwards who are decent, then I drop him. But as the forward pool after the top end is so shallow, which I can see by writing the weekly waiver article where we have self-inflicted 40% rostered rule, and it's torture. It's like there are weeks where there is no starting forward under 40% rostered. So I think you can do much worse than picking up Silva against Nottingham Forest. Silva. Why am I?
He says Silva again.
It's Costa. Yes, it's Costa. Why am I? I just haven't accepted the new realities of bullshit.
Strong Silva vibes. Yeah.
I thought I had it bad with. I thought I had it bad with the 60% rostership on Sleepers 11. I won't complain if it's 40 for waivers. That's rough.
That's wild.
Yeah, and at times, you guys know that we write the Pantrax HQ articles as well for waivers, and at times I felt that we could move that percentage up for the HQ articles. Listeners, please give us your thoughts because obviously with the rudimentary way Fantrax does their rostered percentages, player who's rostered in like 50% of leagues or something like that could be available in all 10-team leagues or something like that.
Yeah.
And couldn't make the waivers article. So essentially, I feel that there may be a gap of players that we, by our own rules, are not recommending, yet they are very relevant for a lot of managers and a lot of leagues, even 12-team leagues that are maybe not very active, or that have only a few guys who follow us and follow the advice that we publish. So yeah, that's food for thought.
Okay, real quick, who'd you rather? So, Diego Costa or Diego Silva, if you're Totti. Diego Costa we're assuming that both or / all of these guys we're mentioning start this week. Diego Costa or Dominic Solanke.
For this
Solanke.
week?
Yeah, for this week. Just for this week.
Yeah, Solanke.
Okay. It's interesting. All right, Diego Costa or Hudson Edouard.
Edouard.
Okay, so I have to go much lower, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Diego Costa or Brian Bomo.
Costa.
Totti.
Yeah, probably Costa.
What about final one, I suppose, even though we could keep going. But Diego Costa or Neil Maupay.
Against Spurs?
Yeah.
Costa.
Yeah, I'm going Costa.
Okay. All right, well that's about the range.
What about the other way around? Diego Costa or their opponents? Any Nottingham Forest forward? Like Dennis or Brennan Johnson? Whoever starts. We don't know who starts.
Oh, against Wolves.
Yeah.
Oof, that's a tough one.
No. I'm gonna probably at that point play another midfielder.
Even if it causes you to have an illegal lineup,
I hope you're not playing a 4-5-1 with Costa as your lone striker. But
as a matter of fact, I'm playing a 4-5-1 in the community league with Mbomo as my lone striker.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, that Diaz injury was brutal for you.
Yeah.
Oh, rough.
Yeah,
well,
I think I'm gonna go Dennis on this Nottingham Forest versus Wolves thing. I think just for minutes played.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be taken off around the same time, but Costa just doesn't seem like he's quite there yet, fitness wise.
Yeah, I suppose I'm with you on that. Oh, brutal. Yeah, you're right, man. The forward landscape is rough out there, Totti.
Yep.
Just rough. Okay, let's move on from this dismal discussion here. But regardless, other Wolves definitely worth snapping up just in case, because what if some of the managers being touted are very attack minded, and you could definitely see a little mini renaissance. So the assets that have it in their locker to be good, those are the guys you wanna snap up. So cool. Let's move it right along. This is one that we haven't done in quite some time.
Fantasy fake, fantasy for real, fantasy fake, fantasy for real.
Oh, Andres, giving the people what they want. I love it. All right, fantasy fake, fantasy for real. Of course, this is players who are in good form. Some of them are going to be more well-known than others. Some of them are going to be more highly rostered than others. Some maybe just emerging and potentially getting their shot at the 11. The question is, will it last? Or is it just going to be a flash in the pan? So I think the one on a lot of people's minds recently is going to be, of course, very highly rostered. And most people probably paid maybe even over 100% fab for him, would be Anthony. Of course, 3 games started, 3 goals scored, 1 goal per game, giving him a 15.8 fantasy points per game average. So this is an interesting one to me because 3 goals, 3 games, we don't really have a true representation of what he's capable of in terms of ghost points yet. So I'm curious to hear your guys' take on this, as well as maybe like Man United's trajectory in your eyes. Todd, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. I think he's real, but this production is unsustainable.
It was like Joe Willock levels 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. That's a very good comparison, to be honest. Yeah, he's gonna be probably the best winger. Well, who knows which one
what
of
he really is.
Yeah, which one of Rashford or Martial will actually end up on the wing, but definitely he has he's gonna outscore Sancho. It does seem so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's fantasy real.
When even Genie is saying that he's done with Sancho, that's pretty concerning. So
Yep.
If you roster Sancho, if you can, I don't know, man. If you can get anything, actually, that's a great question, Gavin. What are you doing with Sancho at this point? Before you answer about Anthony,
Hoping that I can find some equivalent trade value out there. You probably have to package him if you're hoping to get a good return on investment, though. His value is so much lower than draft day right now.
oh, it's in the tank, and so you're if you can't, are you holding?
I mean, he's. I don't think he's quite at drop level yet. He's like one step away from last straw, I guess, for me.
Okay, all right. So maybe next week. All right, what about Anthony?
Yeah, I agree with what Totti said. I think he is. I think Anthony is real. I agree. It's a little bit difficult because we don't have a sense of what his floor is without a goal.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at kind of his underlying stats and don't really see much in the way of ghost points except for the Everton match where he had 3 key passes.
He's sorry to interrupt, Gavin. He's going to enter our ghost point tracker next week. But he's going to enter with a ghost point per start of 6.8.
That's not what you want.
No, not what you want from a winger that's expected to be, creatively involved in a lot of different aspects of the game. So I'm like, I guess I'm a little on the fence. I think he kind of falls into, I think it was DraftLab that was saying it's the wingers at United that just aren't ghosting particularly well in this system.
Sure.
And I think this is a good representation of that, but he's at least delivering with goal returns at the moment.
So this sounds to me like you guys are, without actually saying it, you're screaming sell high.
Yes, I can scream it if you want.
That's okay.
It is
people's car. We don't want to blow out people's car speakers.
Yeah. I think we agree on that, and I think he's gonna come down to earth very soon, points wise and scoring wise, and if you can get him, like currently he is like a 15 points per start or something like that.
Right.
So if you can sell someone on that promise, then you're gold.
Would you take 1-for-1 Raheem Sterling?
You're a Sterling guy.
I receive Sterling.
Yeah, you would receive Sterling.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of guys who the the Sterling manager is going to be pretty upset, kind of perturbed after last week, plus some of his recent returns.
Yeah, I can confirm that.
Yeah, 7-2, and then you rewind to, of course, his 18 and 26, but that was versus Southampton and Leicester. So, dare we say, Genie may be right about this as well, but that's a conversation for a few weeks or a couple months down the line to see if he actually was able to get his crystal ball out and see the future again. But you would take Sterling. You guys both would.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's leave United for the time being and head over to Chelsea. So Christian Pulisic got his first start under Graham Potter, 17 points in 71 minutes. Aston Villa and Brentford upcoming. Fantasy fake, fantasy for real. Gavin, you want to kick us off this time?
Yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, kind of go with the common refrain or the predictable one here and say that he's fake, just because I don't think he's in the first team picture long term, at least in the league. It's still very difficult to predict exactly what Potter is going to do, as we've seen, and I think the fact that he now has additional competitions with the Champions League to contend with, we might go back to the very frustrating Potter rotation, which I hate, because I was so happy he had kind of moved past that and found his system that he preferred at Brighton, and now we've got a bunch more games and egos to deal with at Chelsea. So I
heard that Brighton rotated like the second least in the league this year before Potter left.
Yeah, he had completely just put aside that whole stereotype and kind of moved on from it. That was honestly the reason, and I think we talked about this previously, the reason I was as high as I was on Pascal Gross was that he just wasn't getting rotated at the back end of last year.
Yeah.
And I think, well, anyway, that's, I guess, kind of an aside, but I think Potter ball and the rotation might be coming back, which I think just eats into starts for Pulisic. I don't, again, see him as kind of the first name on the team sheet kind of a player. I think some of the more high profile signings that have been brought in, like Aubameyang and Sterling, will continue to get starts. And then he's been really happy with Mount. He's been happy with Gallagher as well. So it's a tough one. If he gets a run in the team, then I think he's real. He's shown that Pulisic has shown that he can be a good fantasy asset. I just don't see him starting often enough to be to make that the case.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, okay, so let's see. They played AC Milan, right? And they played, one second. Aubameyang played 79. Mount played 46. Reece James played 62. Kovacic played the whole thing. Jorginho played the whole thing. Chilwell played 90. Sterling played 62. And then the back line, whatever, they can play 3 games a week or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, everything points to potentially another weekend side versus Villa. I don't know. What do you think on this one, Totti?
I think I'm gonna go against the grain, and I think he's real. I think the fact that he got so many injuries was the only reason he couldn't stamp his mark on the starting 11, and obviously the ever changing revolving door of managers at Chelsea, but I think he's still an amazing player, and he has the additional hunger, which obviously he didn't need, but he does with the World Cup coming up, and a good run of games would do him a world of good.
Yes, please.
I haven't followed US soccer much.
You're better for it.
But through you guys' reactions when I wake up, usually the games are at night time for me. So when I wake up, I see those angry tweets about Pulisic not doing what he was supposed to do in the national team. So yeah, I think obviously he wants to play. There was never an issue there. And yeah, I think he when given a chance, he assisted the week before. He scored last week when he started. So I think he's there. He's there in the starting lineup as long as he produces. And additionally, I think he's a guy, a versatile, energetic, disciplined player, and that's what Potter likes. That's what Potter liked at Brighton, and I think he is real. I think his fantasy real.
Okay.
So can I ask who loses out? Is it Havertz, or who do you think loses out if he earns that starting role?
I think it's gonna be, well, if can we even talk about earning a starting role? Like, I agree with you that rotation is gonna be an issue all the way through. So I'm not saying that he's real as in he's starting the rest of the season for Chelsea,
Right.
but I think he's gonna start more than he has started in the last couple of seasons, and he's going to produce more. So they lined up in a, was it a 4-2-3-1 or something like that against Wolves last weekend.
I'm looking at the Milan lineup currently. So I can try to get to the Wolves one because they played wing backs against Milan.
So they played Azpilicueta, Chalobah, Koulibaly, and Cucurella in defense. Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho in midfield, and then Gallagher, Mount, Pulisic, and Havertz up top. So I don't think that's a lineup that will stick, but Pulisic can play in other than the shadow striker role. But even that, I think he can play. He can play in any of the front four positions.
Yeah.
So he can slot in whenever there is a rotation need or a player who is not performing. So he can play instead of Sterling. He can play instead of Aubameyang. He can play instead of Havertz as well. So I'm not saying that he's gonna oust someone for good forever or for good.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I think he has a decent chance of doing something. And he's sitting. He's on the bench for the Champions League 2 games in a row. And he's starting in the league 2 games in a row. Well, he's not starting, but he has an attacking return 2 games in a row. So
yeah, it seems like he's in line too. All right, but so Gavin, I mean, you'd pick him up, right?
Yeah, if he's available, I'd pick him up.
Okay.
Joe, can I kind of steal your thunder here for a moment?
Yes. Steal away.
I've pulled up the stats tab for Pulisic in Fantrax, which gives you kind of previous years statistics compared at a glance. So, Totti, you mentioned you think he'll have more starts and points than previous years. How many starts do you think he'll get?
Rest of season? Oh man.
Yeah.
12.
I'm saying, how many games do we have left? We have it's
30 left.
Now you're pulling a genie with your math.
It's Gameweek 11 coming up, so
28
we have
left.
28 left. I'm gonna say 17 starts.
Total or rest of season?
Rest of season.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Well, that only puts him at 18 then, right?
That would put him at 19.
Oh, he started twice already? Okay.
Yeah, he started 2 games this season. That would put him level with the most games he's started since he arrived at Chelsea. The first season he started 19. The second season he started 18, and then last season he started 13.
Yep. I think him on a Chelsea that can actually score goals, which Potter is looking at doing better than Tuchel did.
That's saying something.
That's good. That's decent. 18, 19 starts.
For sure. It's just frustrating is all. I mean, it's like rostering a Gundogan.
or Mahrez?
No, maybe better than that.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mahrez isn't getting 19 starts.
I know you have some hope for Mahrez going forward, don't you, Totti?
I do.
Yeah.
I think he got 15 starts last season, and then 21 and 21 before that, or around that, and I had expected him to reach around 20 stars this season, but with the way he came in games and the way he started the season, I'm gonna have to adjust lower. But I think he's still extremely valuable for a good run of games, which will come whenever. Who knows?
Oh man,
who knows?
What round would you take Mahrez in if we were drafting today?
Where did you have him ranked in the consensus ranks? Do you have
I think
that?
I didn't look at that. But in the preseason, he was what? He was a third round pick.
Yeah, second or third round pick in the preseason.
Late second, early third.
I think I'm gonna go like round 5, 6.
Oh wow, Gavin, what do you think?
It's a 2.
Yeah, I was going to say 6.
I
think the upside is still too hard to ignore, but
yeah, it's there for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I could see round 5 though, because we've at least gotten past a bunch of the no starts. So maybe there's more probability that he reaches those starts for the rest of the season.
Oh God, I don't know.
I'm not a math person though. Don't take my advice on that.
Robbie has him at 63.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, that's not Robbie. That's the consensus ranks that we did.
Oh, that's okay. All right.
In September 26th, so the last international break, just above DCL and Aubameyang and Vardy, and below Watkins and Anthony Gordon and Sinistera. I think that's we did well.
That sounds about right. That sounds about, yeah, that's a good spot.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Sorry for that aside, but just got my curiosity flowing there a little bit. Back to Chelsea really quickly on Conor Gallagher. I'm tempted to think that he's probably at least more fake than Pulisic, but curious to hear your thoughts on that one, guys. Gavin, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I like Gallagher a lot. I think he'll be great when he starts, but I'm inclined to agree with you just because I think there's more competition for roles in the midfield, and it's tough. I think if we're looking at like Potter's system at Brighton, and I don't know if that's a fair thing to do, but you have, Caicedo and McAllister. McAllister is a pretty good foil for Jorginho, in my opinion. And I think Caicedo is pretty similar to Kovacic, where he's more of like a box to box kind of guy, but still has more of that defensive discipline. I think Gallagher's a little bit reckless in the way that he plays defensively.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a liability, in my opinion. More likely to get yellow cards or make some silly mistakes on the defensive side of his game. I think he's better attacking than Kovacic, but if I had to guess, I would say it's probably Jorginho and Kovacic as the preferred midfield 2. And then who knows when Conte will be back, but I think he'll be kind of next in line, if not pushing one of those for a spot. So that leaves you with Mount and Gallagher in that more advanced midfield role, and everyone is on the Mount train that manages Chelsea. So,
right.
I think, I think you're right. He's probably just a little bit further behind, just in terms of opportunities. But I do like him a lot as a player, and I think probably in future seasons he'll be kind of a nailed-on starter and a reliable fantasy midfielder for Chelsea if he stays there.
Okay. Maybe not quite his time yet. Todd, anything to add to that?
No, I think there was plenty of praise, but tempered excitement.
I love that. Well said.
I agree. I think he's one I look for when lineups come out, or
For a streamer.
one I try to keep at the ready when I expect a lot of rotation. So like after a Champions League round, or
Nice.
or before a big game midweek or something like that. So yeah, I agree. I'd stream him.
So after I just read you the lineup versus Milan midweek, does that mean that if he's available in your league right now and you got a spot, you're picking him up, Gallagher?
Yeah, he's a good one to stash and hope he starts. The issue is that they play Sunday at 2.
At least it's the early games, but still.
Well, there's only the Liverpool City game after that.
Yeah, there's only 2 windows, if you will, on Sunday.
Yeah, so
there's quite a few matches that kick off at that earlier time slot on Sunday.
Yeah, and Southampton West Ham will have some streamers that you can pivot to. So yeah, I'd pick up Gallagher right now.
Yeah, you could drop him for like a Rebo, or drop him for, I don't know,
for now
maybe Ben Rama starts. Who knows?
Yeah. Or
interesting.
Even
okay.
Tilo Kehrer, someone like that.
Sure.
Romain Perrault.
You love Romain Perrault this week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a projections guy now. I've become a projections guy.
Listeners should check them out. They're awesome. They're way better than the ones on Fantrax.
Are they even projections, or just people just spouting out numbers?
It's got to be some sort of algorithm, but I have no idea how it works.
I think it involves the rolling of dice. I'm not really sure. Anyway, okay, we don't have to disparage. I don't know who does those projections, but they're not great. All right, guys, people are gonna take us to task if we don't talk about Emmanuel Dennis. 1 game started, 1 goal, 13.5 points, hooked at 70 minutes. I personally don't see a whole lot to be excited about in that. But, Totti, I'm going to come back to you. Fantasy real, fantasy fake.
Well, just because of the extreme situation at the forward position, I would say he's fantasy real. So, in this sense, fantasy real is someone you are not dropping. But then again, if he somehow is out of the 11, I wouldn't mind dropping him. So I think he's real, and I think he's gonna nail down the spot, because I think he has the rest of the forward speed for ability, and with Gameweek 13 and 14 has them playing Liverpool and Arsenal, but Wolves, Brighton before that, and then Brentford, Crystal Palace after that, which is decent enough for a forward 3 or a forward 1 in my case, in the community league. But yeah, I wouldn't like in the league that we are in with Benji. We picked him up. We streamed him last weekend, and he is our forward 3, and we couldn't be more happy about that. He's a good forward 3 to have.
I could see that. Yeah, okay, I could see that. What do you think, Gavin?
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll go with real. Just based on past performance, I don't know that we'll see anything like first half of season Watford Dennis from last year.
Surely not. He was a top 5 player.
Yeah, he was
right.
Lights out. But I think just the fact that he has that potential, he has it in his locker, and I guess there is still some faint hope that Steve Cooper figures out what his best lineup is, with all of his very many puzzle pieces that he's trying to fit together. But I agree. I think Dennis probably will earn that starting role or earn a starting role in the team. And yeah, I think he's a solid forward to have, forward three or rotation kind of piece where if he's in the lineup and stays there, you're happy to hang on to him. But yeah, totally agree. If he's, becomes a rotation piece, or if he's dropped from the lineup for a run of more than a game, I probably am not holding on.
Okay, so in terms of who you'd rather roster at this point in time, rank 1, 2, 3. Emmanuel Dennis, 11% rostered. Hudson Edouard, 25% rostered. Patson Daka, 56% rostered.
I'm going to go in the opposite order that you listed them.
Okay.
I'd most like to have Daka. I have Daka in one league and I have Edouard in another, so that probably should tell you something. So
we've talked about Palace's fixture.
Yeah, and that's
fixtures.
That's the only reason I have Edouard. I ended up streaming him at the very end of last game week, and now I somehow have 6 forwards in that league, and I'm still reluctant to drop him just based on the fixture list.
Yeah,
Totti?
I think rest of the season it's Daka, Dennis, Edouard for me, but short term it's Daka, Edouard, Dennis.
Okay, cool. Beautiful. I mean, those are forwards that might be available for people, so I figured, why not give them a little insight into how we're sort of actually picturing these guys, because fantasy real for Dennis, for me, sort of feels like fantasy. Right? Yes and no.
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for example, if I've got a league where I have Jota, Havertz, Sinistera, I'm not excited about Havertz, but I'm certainly not playing Dennis over Havertz if both are starting.
Well,
I'm not.
I am.
That's a coin flip for me at the moment.
He would have had 2.5 ghost points if not for the goal.
But he scores goals.
He does score goals, but he's also on a worse team now. Havertz recently scores goals.
Yeah, I'd rather.
I'll have you know he had one.
I was going to say that's still not goals.
And then he had another one over a month ago on September 3rd, and I'll have you know that as well.
We know. If
right,
you have us know, we know.
It's okay to let him go.
No, I just want you to know. No, Gavin, you understand. I already let him go, and then I brought him back.
The prodigal son.
That's where we
It's
differ.
fine.
I cut ties.
And you were happy to.
Yes.
So was I until the new manager was announced. It's whatever. You know what? Let's not worry about it.
It's not the Kai Havertz show.
No, and nor should it be. All right. Miguel Almiron, the smiling one himself. Oh, man. Incredible. 3 goals, 40 points in the last 2 games. Question is he a nailed-on starter? The schedule gets tougher. Yeah, man. What a run he's having. Safe to say the best of his career. I mean, I would imagine you guys would both agree with that.
Yeah.
The question is, once everyone's healthy, where do we see Miggy? I mean, he's just, I love his effort. He's just insatiable on the pitch, and he's just so much fun to watch. It's just like, fantasy-wise, unfortunately, it doesn't always come together like it is currently. But man, this team is really putting it together at the moment. So this one's a tough one. But yeah, Gavin, let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I never thought I'd say this, but I think he's real.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it took Jack Grealish putting him on blast to finally get him to realize the potential and kind of follow through on what Newcastle saw in him to begin with. I think this is the breakout season for him, where he's kind of figured out how to play in the Premier League. He's in fantastic form, and I think one of the things that Eddie Howe has been talking about even recently is just that he likes rewarding opportunities to the players that are in form. So I think, at least for the time being, I see Almiron staying in the team. Probably that doesn't apply quite as much to Jacob Murphy because ASM is coming back. And I guess Murphy is more on the level that Almiron was in previous years.
Yes.
But yeah, I think there's no real reason at the moment to rush Isak back. And that would be the only other real kind of competition in that right wing role for now. And I still don't even know if Howe is going to go for that. I think it's probably, strangely enough, probably Callum Wilson that loses out before Almiron at the moment.
Wow.
But it's, yeah, again, I never thought I would say any of this about Almiron. He's really kind of turned a corner and been really, really impressive so far this season.
Oh man, that is interesting. Okay, Totti, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was high on Almiron, but then Gavin put up this love poem. I agree. I think he is making them rethink the need for a right winger, which is
that's cool.
Which is I don't think we ever expected that. I mean, I streamed him at the beginning of the season and then dropped him.
Right. Many did.
Only to pick him back up now. Obviously, again, similarly to Anthony, he's not gonna keep on doing scoring every game, but and Newcastle aren't gonna put up 4 and 5 every week.
No,
but they're playing out of their minds, and I think they are real, and Almiron is real as well.
yeah. I mean, if you have him as like your mid 4, that's just money in the bank. I mean, yes, he's going to have, like, for example, he got 1.5 against Liverpool, in a 2-1 loss. So sure, that all makes sense. He only scored 5 against Bournemouth, which you would have been sort of upset about. But with the ability to drop 10 seemingly just out of nowhere from ghost points, and then recently with this goal scoring form, I mean, set and forget as your mid 4 or your mid 3 if you can, and especially if you have better options at your first 2 midfielders. Man, he's just a luxury at that position right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, and considering the other guys that you could have picked up or could pick up, or like,
yeah, I agree. I don't feel like I should say any more after my my ode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the least you could have done is at least make it like into a limerick, and I think it would have been a lot more sing-songy, Gavin. But otherwise, I don't have any other critiques of your poem.
Next time, limerick next time.
All right, so Almiron's real. We all agree on that. I'm loving the guy lately. He's just awesome, and plus, I mean, he's just infectious. His positivity, he's just fantastic. And Gavin, I appreciate you mentioned Grealish, because that's kind of maybe the one good thing that he's done this year. I
don't know if I agree with that, actually. Grealish has been he's been good this season.
He's been fine. Let's not say good for his draft value.
Not for fantasy. I think just as a player, he's been good.
Oh, well, we don't care about that here. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Another player who has done maybe surprisingly well recently, but still under 40% rostered, which is pretty interesting. And if you want a little bit of insight too into this, I actually dropped him like 2 weeks ago, even after he'd been doing well. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on Philip Billing. 3 goals in the last 4 games. Totti, let's come back to you first on this one.
I think he is fake.
Same.
I think the fact that Bournemouth are 8th in the table is fake. I think he's been doing fine, and he had a really good season last season in the Championship with double-digit goals and assists. So he will be a decent streamer. But if you're talking like value, I'd rather Almiron than him.
That's fair. Gavin, what are your thoughts on Philip Billing?
I think that he is probably fake. He's such a weird fantasy player. It's really difficult to get a sense of whether he has any kind of long-term good value. I think the goals are a little bit deceptive. And he's actually, I think it was Robbie posted a stat saying he's overperforming his expected points per 90 right now by 3 points per game. So he's I think only expected to score like 7 points per game, and he's putting up 10. So it's definitely an indicator that he's kind of overperforming where he should be, and is probably not sustainable. So that's why I think that he's fake. But I will say I think he's worth streaming in good matchups. Like I'd stream him this week.
Oh man. And well, the interesting thing is that if he's overperforming by 3 points per game, I mean, it's due to the goals, right? But when you look at his ghost points, he's only averaging 5.5.
Yeah,
and we've seen many matches where he's been below that. I'm with you guys. I think I'm feeling okay about dropping him 2 weeks ago, even though he might have won me my matchup the other week. It's fine. It's no big deal. I lost by 0.5.
Brutal.
Yeah, it happens. All right, the resurgent Leicester have a brand new center back, and his name, of course, is one Wout. Is it Fias?
I think it's Fas is what I've heard.
Fas. So it's not Fias like Joan Baez.
I think that's what we got to go. Yeah, let's go with that.
Fias. That's how I'm tempted to say it, but Wout Fas. Okay, I'll say it. That's fine. I'm happy to say it that way. Anyway, 12 points per start in the last 2 games. Yeah, I don't know. Leicester, still a conundrum. Nothing about that has changed. Every player on that team is still a conundrum except for one. So let's come back to you first on this one Gavin. What are we making of the Leicester defense and this player in particular?
I think it's at the moment probably too limited of a sample size to know for sure, but I'm going to say fake just because, again, it is Leicester's defense. I don't think there's been any real change in the way that they're playing that suggests that they're going to, all of a sudden turn things around and be a much better team. I think, confidence goes some way to helping their form, and having some decent fixtures helps out as well. But I still see them conceding a lot of goals. I don't think this is a particularly solid defense, particularly with Danny Ward in goal. It just doesn't inspire any sort of confidence. So I think he'll probably be a decent ghost point scorer. He's good in the air. Similar to his lookalike David Luiz. But yeah, I am not considering any Leicester defender as fantasy real at the moment.
All right, Totti.
Yeah, I agree. I think he could be real. He could be real if something changes, but you just wonder how bad the backup goalie is at Leicester that he can't get a game instead of Danny Ward. He's just a walking calamity.
Yeah.
I think he's showing a decent chance of being real, and I think he is probably, after Castagne, he's the guy I'm most comfortable streaming in this decent run out of the defenders. But
you like him more than Justin?
Justin has been hot and cold, hasn't he? Obviously, for upside, it's Justin. But if I wanna like a guy who's gonna bring me some nailed on points, then it's Wood. Justin has.
I don't even know about the upside. Justin doesn't have an attacking return this year.
Doesn't have a double-digit score this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
our guy, Hoot Fes, has started 3 games.
Beautiful.
He started 3 games. One of them was against Spurs, where he got a -5, and he is 20 less than 20 points behind Justin, who has played all the minutes.
Oh no!
Yikes. Okay,
That says a
you've
lot.
convinced me. Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
Now it should be noted it was Nottingham and Bournemouth.
Yes, that's true. But their run is decent going forward as well,
True.
isn't it? It's
Palace,
Leeds, Wolves.
Yep. Before City, which dropped them all.
Yeah, and then it's Everton, West Ham, which is also decent.
That's fair. So maybe just bench them for that match. That's fine. But
And-
definitely don't start them.
Everton, West Ham, and then the World Cup break. So, I mean, is it out of the question to start a Leicester defender in all games, barring that City game?
No, I'll probably end up doing it myself because I'm sort of.
Sadly, I have Johnny Evans in 2 leagues.
Oh no, that
Oh,
was
man.
not one I was considering, but that's interesting.
I mean, Johnny Evans scored an 8.75, conceding 2 goals.
I don't like it, Totti, but
It's not much worse than
you got to live your
our
life.
guy.
You're going to tell your daughters this someday. You know, sometimes you just have to make your own mistakes.
Well, I would say that sometimes you have to make your own way and not follow the crowds.
And you are definitely doing that. 8% rostered.
Yep, I have him
All right.
in 2 leagues.
I love it. I love it.
You're the entire 8%.
Yeah,
I hope it goes up.
Yeah.
I hope some people take your advice and it goes up after this.
Whoa! I'm not.
wish you
I'm not
Godspeed.
advising anyone to pick up Johnny Evans. I'm just saying I have him.
Who must be rostered in your league for you to go pick? Like Salisu is gone, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I have him too.
Collins?
I don't want
He's
him.
suspended,
He's
right?
suspended.
He still is?
Yeah, one more.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense then. Oh man, but still.
I know.
All right.
I know.
No, Godspeed. Fare thee well. Fare thee well. Okay. Are we moving on from Leicester? My God.
Yes, please.
All right. Gianluca Scamacca appears to be starting now, to the surprise / relief of many people who spent quite a bit of fab on him when he came into the league. And the question is, does it keep up? I think we're all tempted to say yes, just because we like him as a player, as a human being, as somebody. When he came in, my favorite tweet about him was he just looks like a proper bastard, which I love. He's just fantastic. But as far as a fantasy asset, so even potentially like not just scoring goals, but off the ball or, doing counting stats, ghost points, things like that. How do we feel about him? Gavin, come back to you.
Yeah, I am a big fan. Every time I've watched him play, he looks like the real deal to me. He is very, very involved in the play. He reminds me a lot of other kind of target strikers, kind of like the big and little partnerships of old. He's kind of that bigger guy that can receive the ball into feet and lay it off, and then go and get back in the box and score goals. He's really good in the air. I think he actually could have scored probably a hat trick in the last game. He probably should have. He put 2 headers directly into the keeper's hands from good opportunities. I think he is very much the future for West Ham at forward, if they can keep hold of him. And I think he's real. I have seen, and I guess we'll have to see how it goes tomorrow in the Conference League. But there is some news that Antonio is ill. So Scamacca might be the Conference League starter this week, and then Antonio at the weekend, unfortunately. But I still think it's Scamacca's role moving forward as the main striker starter in the Premier League.
Nice. Totti?
Yeah, I agree. It was absurd that he was the starting striker for the Italian national team, and he couldn't get a game at West Ham. And it was just Moyes being Moyes. We had that caveat or that asterisk next to Paqueta and Scamacca as well when they came in. Just know that if you are going for them with your fab, prepare to wait, prepare to be patient, and that is what if you did, you are rewarded, and both guys, both Paqueta and Scamacca will be the real deal, I think, and will be very good this season. So I'm glad I could get both of them in at relatively cheap. Well, I went for Paqueta with 100% fab.
Oh, nice.
In 2 of my leagues, and I'm still pretty confident. Like I'm not gonna abandon ship early just because I myself knew that I need to give Moyes time, and it looks like he's starting to click.
Sure. Yeah, Scamacca now 74% rostered, and that is with a 13% increase in his, as I called it with Ryan, rosterhood this week. So that means, I mean, man, he would have been down near 60 right before that.
Yeah.
Which means a lot of people lost hope.
Yeah, that I snuck him into Sleepers 11 last week, knowing that was the last time I'd get him in there, and it paid off.
For sure.
But yeah,
it seems like a coup to even have him in there.
Right. I think I even mentioned that. It was like, there's no way he's going to stay in here. I actually am the beneficiary of somebody losing patience with him, and in one of my leagues, somebody dropped him, and I was able to pick him up off waivers. So
wow,
I'm feeling very lucky with that.
And you had to spend fab on that, right? How much did you spend?
Gosh, I'd have to go look back. I don't think it was more than like 2 or 3.
Oh, beautiful!
Yeah,
wow,
that's
work.
Amazing.
Nice work. All right, beautiful. So we all clearly love the player. That's awesome. I think we've talked enough Pats and Daka, but real quick, let's talk Pascal Strike, because Totti, as you were mentioning before we hit record, do you want to give us some of the stats on this fine defender this year?
Yep, I'm substituting in for Ryan this week for Ghost Point Hunters, and I was looking at the now updated table for Gameweek 10, and Pascal Strike is overall 3rd highest in Ghost Points per start. Amazing. And first highest for defenders. His Ghost Points per start is 10.6. His Game Week 10 Ghost Points, 14. Is he real or fake?
And now is when I'll ask you, how many clean sheets have they kept?
Leeds?
Mm-hmm.
2?
1.
Gavin?
1.
It is 2. It is 2. There's the one against Villa, and there's the one against Chelsea. So 2. And considering all the stats that you just mentioned, 2 clean sheets. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. Well, and that's just Ghost Points.
Right.
Yeah. So is he real or fake?
I'm tempted
Gavin.
to say he's real. I mean, we don't have any other proof otherwise. Every time I've looked at him, I'm like, there's no way he's going to keep it up, and then he does. So, yeah, I think at this point we have a enough to look back on to say that he is fantasy real and has kind of locked down that left back spot that I don't think any of us saw him playing heading into the season, and probably holds on to it just based on how well he's been playing. So yeah, I'll say real.
Okay.
Would you accept Pascal Struijk if he was offered to you for one Benjamin Chilwell?
Oh my. Well, Pascal Struijk's on the waiver wire in one of my leagues.
What?
Go
Yeah.
pick him up.
Pick him up
All right,
now.
I'm doing it right now.
I mean, don't start him this week, but
No,
pick
I'm
him up.
literally doing it right now. Would you drop Pinnock for him?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, done.
live roster moves.
Or wait, how about Partey?
Also,
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm doing Partey. I know it's terrible. I know it's masochistic, but I have the slightest bit of hope in Pinnock.
Yeah, I hear you there. I've still got him in my lineup reluctantly after last week.
Yes.
He got like 6 or 7 ghosts.
It was like 10 ghosts.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah. It was maybe like 9 ghosts, I think.
Yeah, because he was negative 5.75 with 5 goals against
and an own goal.
and an own goal. So yeah, I mean he was his old self. It's just the question of whether or not he continues to start.
We had Struijk at 1-1-2 in our consensus ranks. Above Gibbs White and Rodri and Declan Rice and the likes, but
Sure.
below Solanke, Ruben Neves, Damsgaard, Alvarez, Ronaldo, Mbomo,
Oh, we got to move him up. Yikes.
I was gonna say that feels low
Christian
actually.
Romero, Solly March, Podence, Cooper.
That's
These
probably
are all
more where he
guys.
belongs.
These are all guys above him.
If somebody bet you rest of season fantasy points, Romero or Struijk,
Romero that just doesn't ghost at all.
Yeah.
right? This is my point.
Yeah, I'm going Strike.
Same.
That's why I said Ben Chilwell. Because
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's really tough.
I think I would still decline that just based on still not quite knowing what Potter is going to do, and that you could be giving away a defender 1 for, I guess Struijk is technically a defender 1 at the moment, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Chilwell can put up like 35 points if he plays well, so I think I'd still hold on to hope maybe a little bit longer. But if you ask me in a couple weeks, maybe I change my mind.
What about Doherty or Strike? Because obviously you have to, like, if you're going Strike versus other like steady ghosters, then we know that he's at the top ghost point getter in the entire league. So obviously you're gonna be voting for him if we all feel that he can keep it up. But I think the interesting comparisons are with these real high upside rotation guys, because that's where his value is honed in, so that if he's consistent enough and has his consistent season, like last time we were talking about how Neco Williams's ghost points will eventually could amount to nothing if they concede 2 or 3 goals every game. And if that's the case with Leeds, then it's going to be a similar situation with Strike.
Yeah. Well, and we also haven't mentioned yet that 3 of their next 7 include Arsenal, Liverpool, and City. And actually Tottenham. So 4 of their next 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
That's tough, yeah. So he's a sell high now, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd do that.
he's probably a package. You probably package him with someone else and see if you can't get someone to bite.
Yeah, I think that the thing that is going against him is that he doesn't really have any name value. Like,
Yeah,
he's not an exciting name that you
Right.
get a trade offer and you're like, oh, I want Strauch on my team.
that's so true.
You really have to look at the numbers to get a sense of how valuable he has been.
Even if you have a look at the numbers, you're gonna be skeptical. That like we've seen like these flashes that burn our eyes for 4 game weeks and then fall back into the abyss. And I guess everyone will be factoring that in, that he could be this guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, either way, there's some optimism to be had there, and I'd like to end on that. That's great. All right, boys. We're going to wrap it up with some quick streamers and some players that we're benching this week. So let's start with the streamers. Gavin, hand it off to you. Do you want to give us 3 streamers for this week?
Yeah, I am. I'm not going to pick guys from my Sleepers 11 article, just so we have a few more options out there. But I'm going to go with Kurt Zuma. I think, gosh, I forget. It might have been Drafter Thoughts. I'm pulling out all kinds of stats that people have been sharing in our group chat over the course of tonight. I think he had kind of dug up an interesting stat about defenders facing off against Southampton and them potentially winning a lot of aerials because that's Southampton's style of play is to play the ball up long balls from the back. And so Zuma is particularly aerially dominant and faces off against Southampton this week. So I like him for a stream. West Ham have gotten a lot better recently as well. On the flip side of that, I have like a weird kind of hunch that Stuart Armstrong is going to do well, which, Joe, I know you don't agree with that in
Never
any
again.
sense. But yeah, I almost included him in my sleepers picks this week, but I think he's finally kind of broken back into the lineup. It's similar to what he did last season, where he was in and out of the team for a while and then kind of worked his way in and worked his way into form and was decent for a good chunk of time. And I'm hoping that's kind of the start of this type of run for him with Southampton right now, where they're really not doing particularly well and they need to change some things around. So hopefully he will get his opportunity. And then, I think this, again, is a good week to stream some of the Bournemouth attackers. So I think Solanke could be worth running out if you need another forward for your lineup. Fulham's defense. Yeah. One of Genie's Bournemouth guys. He also likes Ryan Christie.
I was going to ask you about Christie.
He is.
Do you dare? Do you dare?
He's in my sleepers 11 this week.
Oh,
so,
yes.
2% rostered, which I'm sure is entirely just Genie. But I'm gonna go with Genie this week and say Christie's worth a stream.
All right. I like
Nice.
it.
I might pick him up at league that I have on Bomo.
He's definitely available. But he's a mid.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a midfielder.
Yeah, I know he kind of plays a more advanced position, but he's definitely a mid. He's that Pulisic style, unfortunately.
Damn it.
Yeah. Anyway, Totti, you got 3 streamers for us?
Well, I have 2.
Ryan Christie aside.
I have 2. Mikael Damsgaard is 23% rostered.
Wow.
Which is, I still don't get that. But if you are in the 77%, is that so? Yeah, 77%.
You got it. Nailed
it. Get him in. He sat out the game against Newcastle.
Inexplicably,
but he scored 9 against Bournemouth before that, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be changes after losing 5-1 against Newcastle. So I'd expect Damsgaard to be back in the lineup against Brighton and to score well as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
And my other guy is who I've been. I think I am highest on, but I know DraftLad is high on him as well. And I've just read recent this week's article on him on The Athletic, praising him and touting him to start in the very near future is Mitoma Kwaru, the Japanese midfielder from Brighton.
His ghost points are out of control.
Yeah, and he's come in all the recent games. He's been energetic. He's changed the tempo. He's had 3 30-minute-ish cameos in the last 3 games, and he has 8.5 against Liverpool and 6 against Spurs, which is all decent without an attacking return in 30 minutes. So yeah, go ahead and pick him up.
I like it. And just to show you how competitive some of these leagues are, he's already taken in one of my leagues, which is ridiculous.
He's taken in all of my leagues.
Same.
Oh, never mind. Same here. He's taken in all of my leagues. Got it.
Yep.
Shout out Prosh. I know you're going to listen to this probably before anybody else. Nice. All right. Cool. Beautiful. So let's move on to players to bench. So this is the tough call because unfortunately sometimes matchups do dictate when we can play players and when we cannot. Even if they are good, even if they've been good, even if they might even be in a good run of form. But just the fixtures don't lie. And if you go to our fixture difficulty tracker, it will actually tell you how many points on average those players have scored from that position against a particular team. So, for example, if you look at Wolves this week, they are playing Nottingham Forest, right? And what it will tell you is Nottingham Forest is green because it's a good matchup. But next to Nottingham Forest, it tells you in parentheses 9.9. That means that defenders against Nottingham Forest this year have scored an average of 9.9 points, which is fantastic. Sometimes they're not that good. Sometimes the numbers are terrible. Like City is actually negative, as Robbie pointed out this week on Twitter. So, yes. Anyway, that's a long wind up. Totti, I'm going to come back to you first. Who are you benching this week?
I have a defender special for the benchings.
Okay.
I'm riding high on my controversial bench your Liverpool defenders take last season that unfortunately came off in a stellar way. So I'm doubling up on Liverpool defenders, which is less controversial this time around against City,
right?
With 2 starters missing, but nonetheless, I'm gonna say the Liverpool defenders. And for the guys who didn't bench Liverpool defenders last week and got either single digit or minus scores, lesson learned, bench them this week. And the other 2 guys I wanted to shout out, both form and very much fantasy darling, Twitter draft community darling, Joachim Anderson and Fabian Schär as well.
Anderson, interesting.
Yeah.
Is that because Leicester? Oh yeah, 5.3.
Yeah,
5.3 points on average. They're not a very good matchup. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they score. They concede a lot as well, and they usually concede more than they score. Hence their league position. But they do score a decent amount, and I wasn't impressed by Crystal Palace last time around. So we'll see what they do against bottom of the table Leicester. But yeah, if I can, I'm benching Anderson.
Interesting.
And
bummer. Yeah.
And
I guess Leicester don't really cross much either, which a lot of defenders make their bread and butter off of those aerials and clearances.
Yep. And Fabian Schär is my other high-flying defender that I'm recommending benching. I'm gonna be at that game watching.
Nice.
The United Newcastle game. So this is the weekend where we have the meetup. It's so late in the show that I'm getting to this. No one's gonna be listening this far in. But we are meeting up on Friday. It's a close knit group. We have the Hungarian fellas and a few from the UK. We are meeting at Beechwood Sports Pub and Kitchen at 6:30 on Friday.
Nice.
And then we on Saturday we are going to Spurs Everton, and on Sunday we are going to Man U against Newcastle.
Wow.
So it's going to be
sounds great.
Eventful weekend.
Oh, you're going to have a blast, man. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, come have a pint with Totti, man. Listeners, go do it. Make it happen. Mini Draftapalooza.
Yep, it is.
It's awesome.
Robbie's
All right.
going to be there.
Yes, and Robbie will be there. Look at this. Gets better and better.
Yep.
Amazing. All right, Gavin, close us out.
All right. Players to bench. Despite the love-in earlier, I'm going to say this is a good week to bench Pascal Strauch. And Joe, I hope you have the roster space now that you've picked him up.
Well, Totti also said Anderson, which is another one on that team. So
I'm probably going to start Anderson.
Looking great.
I'll probably start Anderson despite Totti's recommendation because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Fair enough.
But Strauch is facing Arsenal, and I think just Joe, you have the fixture difficulty tracker pulled up. I think it's very very poor for defenders facing Arsenal.
Give me 1 second. Leeds, Arsenal defenders average 3.6 fantasy points against them. That is the third lowest in the league, next to City, which is negative, and Liverpool, which is 3.
Yeah, so if you can afford to bench him this week, it's probably one of the better times to do so. Also, I'm choosing Coutinho. I think Aston Villa have just been bad this season.
Yeah, yes.
And I think the calls for Gerrard's head are getting louder and louder, and they're facing a Chelsea team that's doing quite well at the moment. So I'm not a huge fan of Coutinho to get very many attacking opportunities to put up a good score this week. And who knows how long he can remain in the team before the fans really just kind of riot against Gerrard
get their
for
pitchforks
to start.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that he's going to be fired after that
Seriously.
Yeah, I thought so
dire
too.
draw against Forest.
Yeah, and then the last one, despite a goal today, I think Darwin Nunez is a really tough one to bank on and start against City. City is not the same as Rangers, and the Community Shield Liverpool and City are not the same.
Correct.
As 10, 11 weeks into the season. So again, if you have the luxury of having room to bench him, I think it's a safer bet. The upside is always there, but I think it's not something you should count on against City.
City also last in terms, or you could say best in terms of forwards scoring against them with only 7, which is the lowest in the league.
I thought when I saw this in the doc, I thought it was because it's the last game of the game week, and he's not necessarily nailed on to start. But
that's a good point too. Yeah.
But if I mean, I would think that his style, his game, is more suited to a more open game and more one-on-one type defense that Manchester City employs, rather than something like Everton or something like that, which is going to be a low block. But yeah, I would. Yeah, I have Jota in the league, and I'm definitely gonna count on him starting, especially as he didn't start in the 7-1 thrashing of Rangers, then came on and provided 3 assists to Salah in 6 minutes.
Right, I was gonna say, yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely starting him, or banking gonna start for him. But I can see Núñez being benched, and I can see Klopp reverting to a 4-3-3 with Jota on the left and Firmino up top with Salah against City. So yeah, that's a good call.
Nice. And all of these are caveats too, right? I mean, I'm assuming, Gavin, when you say that, you're telling, listeners, like, look, don't bench him for maybe like Stuart Armstrong, which you also mentioned, right? Or don't bench him for a player who is clearly, like, there's a massive gulf in the fantasy talent there. But instead, if you have another option that has a good matchup that could potentially get you over the line, might be better to play it safe on this one.
Yeah,
for sure.
And to kind of wrap up this podcast in a sense, and go back to where we started, would you start Diego Costa this week, meaning that you would bench Darwin Núñez in the process, or rather wait for the last game of the game week and hope that Darwin Núñez starts and gets a return?
Ooh.
I think
I hate that it's the last
That's
game.
the line, yeah.
I hate that it's the last game.
Yeah,
because otherwise I would tell you Núñez every day of the week.
Yeah, for sure. I think if Diego Costa is starting against Nottingham Forest and my only other forward is Darwin Núñez, I'm still probably starting Darwin Núñez.
Ooh, that's a tough.
There you go.
It's very, very difficult.
You're running the 4-5-1 as well, or the 5-4-1, just like Totti.
4-5-1 with a potentially benched forward.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right, let's close her down, boys, and hope that this podcast recorded. We have had some technical issues, listeners, so if you hear anything off, don't blame me. Anyway, it's been amazing. Thank you all so much for joining me. Gavin, thanks for coming back again. We appreciate it.
Of course.
Listeners, I always tell you, if we have conundrums, like we were just talking, Núñez or Costa, I know it sounds bizarre, but sometimes we have these last minute questions that just are, you need other voices, you need other opinions. So go ahead and add us on Twitter, or start a poll or something like that, and let us know, and we'll retweet it for you. Get some other voices from the community in there, get some other opinions, and let's get you this win this week. Thanks for listening. I know it's been a long one. If you made it this far, you are an absolute rock star. Community, we love you. Talk to you soon. KBC out.